Everyone. So today we are going to do a problem from Codility. It's called the missing element problem. So this problem, so we would be given with an array of length n, and it's going to contain integers, basically different integers from the range 1 to n plus 1. Okay. So for example, the length of this array is 4. So it would have elements from 1 to 5, but there would be a missing element, and our job is to find that missing element in the array. Okay, so if you have seen my previous videos, there's a concept called as XOR, which I have discussed, and basically when it's a bitwise operator. So what XOR does is, if you do an XOR of same elements, right, same bits in a, let's say, an integer, the answer, the result that it would produce is 0. And if you XOR different values, then the result that I'll get is 1. Okay, so we are going to use this XOR, and no, basically what we would do is we are going to XOR all the elements from which are part of the array and the indices of the array as well. Okay, uh, and not the exact indices, but indices plus 1, right? Because array indices, they start from 0, but we want to start from 1. Okay, so we want to start from 1 and go till the end, and we'll XOR everything, and what we would be getting back is the only number, which is the missing number. Okay. All right, so let's start with writing the method. So I'll say private static. In this case, we just have to return that element. So the return type should be an integer. So I'll call this as find missing element. So, and then this should take an integer array. Right. Okay, so let's start with creating a variable. I'll say missing element. Then I'll just put the first array element in this. Okay, and I'm just making sure there's at least one element. Otherwise, you can put an if condition saying that you can check the length of the array. Yeah, I'm assuming there's at least one element in this array. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to basically do a for loop, and we have to, so 0th element we already have. What I'll do is I'll start from 1. I'll say a dot length. Yeah, so I have to be go till a sorry, I is should be less than a dot length, so that should be fine. Sorry. Okay, and then what I'll do is missing element equals to missing element spelling is wrong. Just element control dot to rename this. So missing element, and then this is how we do an XOR, and we have to do an XOR with a of I, but we also have to do an XOR with I plus 1, right? And we are doing I plus 1 because indices start with 0 and the elements are basically starting from 1. Okay, and then there's one more thing that we have to do is for the first element we also have to XOR with 1, right? Because index here is 0, so I'm XORing with 1. In when this would start for the first time, this would be 1 and this should be 2, right? So that's how we'll get the XOR of all the elements, and then I can just return missing element. And finally, for this element also I have to basically we have to do an XOR of this as well with a dot length 1, right? Because if when you saw the example, the length of the array was 4, but the maximum element that it had was 5, right? So that's why this would be +1. Okay, I think we should be good. So let's take an array element. So 2315. So I'll take the same example, 2315. I'll say int miss whatever missing element equals to find missing element, and then we pass a. And let's see what does this do. So this should return 4. Yeah, so this is returning 4. Let's take another example. So I'll say I'll say 4. In this case, it should return 6. Yeah, 6. Okay. So that's how we would solve this missing element problem. So let's just see again what we did. So we just created a method, okay, took the array as an input, and we are returning an integer. So we created a variable missing element, and we are XORing 1 with the first element of the array. Right? Then we are looping from 1 to I know I should be less than a dot length, and then we keep on XORing all the elements with the with I+1. Correct. And finally, once we get this missing element, we XOR with a dot length +1. Okay, and then we just return that. All right, so that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.